Someone finds you on LinkedIn, maybe from a post, maybe from a search, maybe a referral mentioned your name and they went looking. They land on your profile, they spend about 8 seconds on it, and then they leave. Not because you weren't qualified, not because they weren't interested, but because your profile didn't answer the one question that they needed answered in those 8 seconds. Is this person for me? If your profile can't answer that immediately, you've already lost the conversation. And the frustrating part is that it has nothing to do with your credentials or your track record. It's a messaging problem and it's fixable. I'm going to show you the 3 profile mistakes I see most often with boutique professional service firms and what to do instead. Before I get into the mistakes, I want to explain why the profile is where I always start with clients even before we touch the content. Here's what happens when your content is working. That click to your profile is the moment that everything either continues or stops. Your content got them curious. Your profile is what converts the curiosity into conversation. Most firm owners spend hours thinking about what to post and about 12 minutes on their profile. The ratio is backwards. A resume tells people where you've been. A landing page tells people what happens next if they work with you. Those are 2 very different documents. So here are the 3 places people go wrong. The headline is the line of text that sits right under your name. It shows up everywhere on your posts, in search results, in connection requests, on the notification people get when you comment on their content. It's the most visible piece of real estate on your entire profile. And most boutique firm owners are using it to say their job title. Nobody cares. Founder and CEO, managing partner, principal consultant. That tells me what you are. It tells me nothing about whether you can help me. The after version does 3 things. It tells me who you help, it tells me what problem you solve, and it makes me ask, wait a minute, is this me? And that's exactly the right question. The formula I use is simple. I help specific person achieve specific outcome without specific frustration. You don't have to use I help exactly, but the structure should answer who, what, and what's the friction I'm removing. If your headline right now is your job title, that's the first thing to change. Everything else you do on LinkedIn will work better once the headline is right, because every time you post, the right people will read your name, read that line, and think, this person might be worth following. The about section is where most firm owners write their career story, where they studied, how long they've been in the industry, what their firm does. I founded company XYZ in 2015 after 15 years in. Okay. And here's the problem. Your ideal client is not reading your about section to learn about your career. They're reading it to figure out if you understand their situation. The best about sections I've seen start with the client's problem and not the founder's history. Starts with you. I've spent 15 years in professional services helping firms across North America. But when it starts with them, most boutique firms reach a point where referrals aren't enough. The pipeline gets unpredictable, marketing feels like a distraction from the actual work, and the usual advice, post more, run ads, hire a sales rep, doesn't fit how your firm actually operates. Feel the difference? One makes me read about your background, and the other one makes me feel like you already know my situation. The about section should do 3 things in order. 1, name the situation your client is already in, not generically, specifically. The frustration they'd recognize immediately. 2, tell them briefly what you do about it. 1 or 2 sentences, not a service list. You don't need all that. 3, give them a clear next step. What should someone do if they want to find out more? Book a call, download something, apply, tell them. Most about sections end with a list of services and a phone number. That's not a next step. That's a business card. End your about us section like a landing page that ends with 1 clear action. The featured section sits right below your about section, and it's a row of visual tiles, posts, links, documents that you choose and pin there permanently. Most profiles either have nothing there or they have a post from 18 months ago that happened to do well at the time. This section is your storefront window. It's the place where someone who's genuinely interested in working with you goes to see more. And if the window is empty or full of things that have nothing to do with your offer, you've lost them the moment they were ready to take the next step. Here's what should be in your featured section. 1 featured piece of content that demonstrates your thinking, a post, an article, or a short video that shows how you approach the problem your ideal client has. 1 link to your offer or next step, whether that's a booking page, an application, a kit, a scorecard, whatever the natural next action is for someone who's ready to move. And 1 piece of social proof, a client result, a testimonial, a case study, something that shows the work that actually produces outcomes. 3 titles, kept current, all pointing in the same direction. If someone reads your headline, reads your about us section, and then looks at your featured section, those 3 things should tell one consistent story about who you are, who you help, and what happens when you do. Right now on most profiles, those 3 sections are telling 3 different stories, or none at all. So to bring it together, these are not complicated changes. None of them require a designer or developer. You can make all 3 in an afternoon. But here's what I've seen happen when firms actually do this. The content that they're already posting starts performing differently. Not because the post changed, but because when someone clicks through from a post, they land somewhere that makes sense. The profile is doing its job. The content and the profile are finally telling the same story. Conversations that used to go quiet after a few messages start going somewhere because the person on the other end already has done their research and your profile answered the questions before they even had to ask. That's what a profile that works actually does. It doesn't generate leads on its own. It doesn't replace content or outreach, but it converts the attention your content is already generating into something that has a chance of becoming a conversation. If you want the full system, not just the profile, but the messaging framework, the post templates, the outreach scripts, the daily routine that keeps it running, I put everything into the Sell on LinkedIn DIY starter kit. The profile optimization pack is the first module. Headline formulas, about us section prompts, featured section structure. You work through it once and your profile is done. The kit is $97 for now, and the link is in the description. And if you haven't watched the video I posted on what happened when I ran a 100-day LinkedIn experiment on my own business, that one's definitely worth watching first. I'll tell you what this can actually produce when the whole system is in place. Your profile is the first thing a qualified prospect sees when they decide you might be worth talking to. And it should really be ready for that moment. Most aren't, now yours can be.